Come on down.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to not the final training, but the training of the year. Anyway, we're going to do bloodborne pathogens today. Now, mine is not geared so much for the fire and rescue department. They do things the correct way all of the time because that's critical for their survival and stuff. This is more geared toward what? Yes, Ed?
Raven and Nate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all right. Oh, I thought you had a question. Yeah, and stuff.
Why am I here again?
Yeah. So anyway, this will be, we're going to see a short video here first, and then we'll do some more of the presentation.
Bloodborne pathogens, they turns up and sing it again. Bloodborne pathogens, if it's wet, don't touch it. Bloodborne pathogens, they turns up and sing it again. Bloodborne pathogens, if it's wet, don't touch it. Medea turned around to see what she could see. Little did she know Don moved the TV. Boom! Pow! The lights went out. She was hurt. There ain't no doubt. The hole in her head was squirting out some blood. It was going and a flowing like a darn flood.
Hey ho, what should we do? Here comes J.O.Y. coming to the rescue with the gloves in her pockets and her pants. She's about to do the bloodborne pathogens dance.
Let it go.
Bloodborne pathogens, they turns up and sing it again. Bloodborne pathogens, if it's wet, don't touch it. Bloodborne pathogens, they turns up and sing it again. Bloodborne pathogens, if it's wet, don't touch it.
All right. Oh my God, we've been searching for weeks. Huh? So, yeah. All right. Did anyone see the mistake in the video?
No.
Huh? So, the very last thing was she went to put the Band-Aid on the girl's hand. She did it with her glove held under her little finger and put it on with her finger and her thumb without the glove protection. All right, so we're going to have some little quizzes and stuff, and we're going to have some contestants come up. So we're going to have volunteers. Oh.
What is it?
I don't know.
Spaghetti sauce.
Oh, it's good.
If it's wet, don't touch it.
Don't touch it, I guess. Oh, now what have I done? Let me use the right. That's good. Yeah, take care of that, will you? All right, volunteers? Oh, we need one from each department. Yeah. Come on up. Come on up.
You better volunteer when I ask.
All right. So just hold that. That's for you.
I'll do it since
All right, that's one for you. Yeah. Pam, come on.
Why am I getting the oddball one?
You get one of those. All right. Yep. All right. Well, that's probably good for you. We need a. How about you? Come on up. We need. Well, that's all right. Roy, come on up, Roy. Come on, Roy. Come on, Roy. Roy. All right. All right, so there you go. And so,
Is that left or right?
doesn't matter. It's ambidextrous. All right, so everyone go ahead and put their glove on.
They're really small.
Huh?
Yeah, why'd you have to get extra small?
Oh, come on, you're trying to be
So-
O.J. Simpson.
If the glove don't fit, you must.
So if the glove don't fit, we have to acquit, that's right. So what I've got is I've got some small gloves, and they fit Kathy all right. That one's a large. That's a little floppy on her. Yours fit very nicely, Pam.
Oh, hi, I'm good.
Looked like you could do dishes. And yours didn't fit, and yours ripped on the way on. So if the equipment's not the correct size, it's not going to be effective, is the point of that. All right? So thank you very much, everybody. Yep. All right? All right? And so we're going to have people...
Thank you, Thomas.
We're just generating trash for Randy. Yeah. All right. So I do want you to know that April was National Gonorrhea Awareness Month, and so that is a problem where gonorrhea and STDs are making a comeback in the States. So you got to be careful. And why particularly was I not addressing the fire department and the guys that practice and live this all the time is because where is something going to happen? At the library? Debbie? You seem to be doing work. Where is something going to happen, Deb?
It happens every day.
Where?
Where?
Yeah,
Summer camp, kids club, all around where there's people.
right. So, and where are we all? We're working with as different people. We run into different situations all the time, everything like that, so you have to be aware of this. So the saying goes that if it's wet, don't touch it, and if it's not yours especially. So, all right, so we'll have some prizes for that. Who else answered? There you go. Did I skip somebody? All right, so we have to keep going. All right, so this is, what are the bloodborne pathogens? So we have the overview here of Hep B, Hep C, viruses, and human, I can't even say it, so, immunodeficiency virus, all right. So, why should you know about the bloodborne pathogens, or the BBPs? So, when you look at this one, you changed too fast. So this one won't kill you, but a needle stick will. And so with the drug epidemic, everyone here is susceptible to needle stick. So finding them on beaches, you find them in the public restrooms, you find them, and a big reason is because drug addicts don't really want to die, so they'll go someplace public to shoot up so that somebody can find them. And so it's more likely that you're going to be the first responder to that incident than the rescue or the fire department that deals with this on a constant basis. And so you got to be careful, you got to know, you got to be wary with your kids, you got to be wary with your pets and everything like that, because when they're done with a needle, they just leave it, stuff like that. And so those, you changed it again. And then, so some of the occupational exposures are healthcare providers, physician, nurses, EMTs, home healthcare workers, medical and research laboratory technicians, firefighters, law enforcement, corrections officers, workers in laundries, public service safety institutions, employees in first aid, employees who handle or pick up regulated waste, all right, hotel, motel employees that clean up blood, or OPIM, and, well, that's a question. So we got to figure that out. All right? All right, so employees of funeral homes and mortuaries. So, all right, so any guesses as to OPIM?
Other people's infectious mess.
That's pretty close. Other potential infectious materials. All right, so it's everything else but blood. So, boy, he's whipping through them. That's good. So we have pathogens, which are the viruses, the bacteria, the fungi, the parasites. Anyone name a parasite? Giardia, there's a winner. All right. Any of the fungi? Anybody name a fungi? Huh? Aspergillus. All right, there you go. Oh, did he show the slides? All right. So, as you know, the STDs are up in, where's he at? All right, next slide. Oh, there you go. So these are some of your basic viruses, bacteria, fungi, and parasites. All right. Nursing homes and retirement villages are experiencing high STD transmittings and stuff. All right. Oh. Did you get the other thing? Get that. Oh, yeah. All right. All right. So, next slide. So, transmission of the disease. We're getting, so inhalation, so airborne, indigestion, ingestion, food and water. A lot of restaurant sicknesses are just thought of as a weekend flu or something like that, or they think they drank too much. But there's hundreds of people every day get infected by the food they eat. Just for awareness, so when you're in a restaurant, if your hot thing's not hot, don't send it back to be reheated, order something different. Don't ever have them reheat something for you in a restaurant, because it wasn't stored at the proper temperature to bring it to your table. So just by reheating it, the bacteria or the pathogens could be alive in that food, and often that's where people will get sick from. All right? Water, ice. We also have inhalation. So we have a lot of, oh shoot, what is it? What's the bacteria that's, oh, no, here it is. Not E. coli, but the diarrhea, the diarrhea disease that's come from cholera, not cholera. No. I'm ahead. Let's see. Salmonella. Yeah. Any others? All of those all come out, yeah. But also there's a lot of things that'll, people will spread by coughing, and something like that. So some of the stuff on the floor here might be kind of infectious. So you have to be careful of that. So it can come in many forms. You get someone that comes sick to the counter to get their dog registered, and and they cough stuff like that on the counter. It's best not to touch it. All right. Yeah. You call Ed for a cleanup on aisle 3. All right. And then you have the contact, and so then you have the blood-borne contact. They can transmit a lot of different things by needle sticks. Open cuts, if you have a shave cut and somebody has a bleed in their mouth and they spray blood sputum onto you, something like that, it can infect you through an open sore or something. You know, it's just kind of grim, really. Stuff. But it's all stuff you have to be aware of, you know. So the blood, next slide, please. All right. So there they are. There's the blood or the other potential infectious materials, you know. And so the saying is, don't touch it. Okay, that's right. Okay, so this includes human blood, components, products made from human blood, and also medications derived from blood, immune globulins, and elebums. I can't pronounce that one too well. So, yes. So we'll give prizes for correct pronunciations and stuff, so. All right. So next slide. All right. So here's other potential infectious material. So you have semen, you have vaginal secretions, you have body fluids such as pleura. I wrote this one down. Cerebrospinal from the pericardia. You're ahead of me though, but preneal? Perineal. Does anyone know what that is? Not the medical guys. Get a prize for it. All right, we'll open it up to everybody. Even the medical guys? It's the stomach lining. Yeah. All right, did you win? So why do you think you would be involved in something like that, where you might be involved with a stomach lining? You're going to come because you're going to be the first person on a car crash. You're going to be, an airplane accident, or, that somebody, your neighbor stabbed his wife, or there's just all this gruesome stuff. I'm telling you, I live in Maine. Yeah. But you have to just be ready, all right? All right. Body fluid where it's difficult to differentiate. Any unfixed tissue or organ other than intact skin from a human, living, or dead. So, if you come onto a dead body, don't touch it. All right? All right? Don't touch it. So we have HIV, Hep B, Hep C, so you have a lot of people walking around with compromised immune systems and everything like that. Would shingles be a problem? So they're a problem because it's a virus. Oh, there's a window. All right. So shingles is something that people are shedding all the time when they're walking around with, and so it's not really too much of a problem for them, except that they have the shingles, but it can be transmitted. So pregnant women are really susceptible to that. Young kids, people with immune compromised systems. So we have to wash the counters often and cleaning up stuff. If people don't look good when they come in, and they often don't, right? Yeah. They look ill. No, they don't look like me, they look ill, yeah. Yeah, so, but we all think that it's something that won't happen to us, all right? So let's go to the next slide. All right. So these are all, piercings and things like that. So in the library business, you guys are always poking hole in stuff. You're punching paper and getting paper cuts and, having books fall on you and all that stuff. So it's like, you have to be ready. Now, everyone's aware where the first aid kit is in all the buildings, and all the public works trucks have first aid kits in them. Yeah, they do? They don't? No, so all the first aid trucks, all the trucks don't have a first aid kit?
We have a first aid department next door.
All right.
Kid at the shop.
It's all at the shop.
Big one,
Yeah. Okay. That's good if something happens in the shop, but, yeah. But you have Band-Aids you send out in them or something, don't you? All right. But you guys are just as likely to run into something first as anybody. So, all right, let's go to the next slide. So the transmissions of BBPs, they can enter your body through breaks in your skin, cuts, burns, lesions, etc. Mucous membranes splash into your eyes, nose, your mouth. Sexual contact, some know more about this than others, and other modes also. So, yeah. Next slide. Okay, your risk of infection depends on several factors. The pathogens involved, the type and route of exposure, the amount of virus in the affected blood at the time of exposure, the amount of infected blood involved in the exposure, whether post-exposure treatment was taken, and specific immune response of the infected individual or recipient. So, so if you do get a blood spatter, or you get a little contact with somebody's mucus or something like that, go ahead, wash your hands, scrub it up with good warm water and soap, plenty of soap, and do report that. That'll be, most likely you'll never have an incident from it, but if there's an incident that's reportable, I think that we can seek the history of that person that infected you, if it was a serious infection. Sneezes and coughs and stuff like that, you just have to handle that with, cleaning up. But, if you have somebody fall down and have a seizure or something in one of your buildings or at one of your events or in your workplace or something like that, you need to know that if it's wet, all right. Next slide. All right, so some of the bloodborne pathogen diseases that can happen: malaria, syphilis, brucellosis, leptospirosis, leptospirosis, arboreal infections, that's bird flu and stuff. So you can have relapsing fever, Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, Creutzfeldt. Anyone know what that one is? Oh, it's Mad Cow. Another winner. All right. And then there's viral hemorrhagic fever. You guys ever seen a case of that in town here?
Hemorrhagic fever?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
no.
We have had meningitis.
Had meningitis. So measles, German measles, meningitis, and there's quite a few viral ones that are making a comeback due to lack of immunizations for a period of time over the last 10 years or so. Stuff. So there's showing up again. Polio, which was almost eradicated, has kind of exploded again in certain areas of the world just because of lack of immunization and stuff. And tuberculosis, that's what I was trying to think of earlier, yeah. So tuberculosis is making a big comeback because of world travel. So we have a lot of interaction worldwide now with all the different countries. And so they're coming from war-torn areas and stuff like that where medical care was not readily available and stuff. So these viruses and pathogens are making a big comeback. All right, next slide. So hepatitis is one of the big ones that we worry about. Hepatitis is really, B is really big in the medical field and drug users and, well, all of them are in the drug field, but, and sewer workers and maintenance type people and stuff. So you have to be vigilant about what you guys are picking up and what you're moving around and what kind of soup and slop you're handling, you know. So hepatitis C, that's, oh, I read the, no, that's hepatitis. Hepatitis B is pretty hardy. It can live 7+ days in dried blood. It's 100 times more contagious than HIV. Approximately 78,000 new infections per year, and that's a figure from 2001. And there's 1.25 million carriers of hepatitis B and about 5,000 deaths a year from it. So there's no cure and there is no preventive vaccine. There are vaccines to help with that, but I wasn't sure on that slide being accurate with there's no vaccine. Do you guys know anything about that? Hepatitis B? Is the vaccine only to lessen your affected?
Pretty sure that every child is born now gets vaccinated for hep B.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I thought that might be a dated slide, but all right. And human immunodeficiency, AIDS, virus, or HIV. There's still a tremendous amount of that in the country, but that is being well controlled with antivirals and stuff. And with the education program that went on around it, there's still millions of cases, but it's being handled and educated more about than anything. So, but it's less likely to be something that will affect you. Next slide, please. All right. The viral hepatitis attacks your liver, your inflammation, enlargement, and tenderness. There's acute and chronic and infections of it. Possible liver damage ranging from mild to fatal. That is largely in the hepatitis B category, but hepatitis C also will affect your liver. And then, next slide, and those are just the facts I read to you about hepatitis B. All right. And then, so hepatitis B is transmitted by unprotected sex with multiple partners, sharing needles during injected drug use, from infected mothers to child during birth, sharps and needle sticks. That's, so that's why we need to be vigilant on that, because of all the discarded needles that are being left around and thrown out after use. All right, next slide. So in hepatitis C, another fun disease, the most chronic bloodborne infection in the U.S. 3.9 million, or 1.8% of the population, is infected. 2.7 million are chronically infected. 25,000 new infections per year, and that was a 2001 number. And a leading cause of liver transplantation in the U.S. is hepatitis C. There's 8,000 to 10,000 deaths from that per year. No broadly effective treatment and no vaccine available. So, I was going to read, they do advertise on TV that if you have the hep C, that they do have some help for you and stuff like that. So I don't know if this slide is just dated enough that it didn't count that. Don't know either. Yeah, and stuff, and I didn't have time to find out about that. But most 10 to 70%, most are asymptomatic, so they don't know they have it. So that's why it's always good to be cautious. If you see someone that's jaundiced, yellow in their eyes and stuff like that, then they have a compromised liver. And the liver is not filtering enough, and so you'll know that that might be a person that you be careful around, And in the immunity, there's no protection, so. Next slide. Is there a question? No. On the hepatitis C, the symptoms is flu-like symptoms. There's jaundice. Anybody know what jaundice is? For a candy bar. Huh? Yellowing of the skin of that? And why? All right, Ann won that one. Because of the liver not functioning properly. So, you'll have fatigue, you'll have dark urine, abdominal pain, loss of appetite, and nausea. All right, next slide. Did he go by it already? No. All right. We did that one, yeah. All right, there we go. So, transmission is by injected drug use. Hemodialysis, and that's long-term, so that's people with kidney disease that are going in for dialysis on a regular basis, 3 times a week. Blood transfusions and or organ transplants before 1992. From infected mother to child during birth. Occupational exposure to blood, mostly needle sticks. Sexual or household exposure, that is pretty rare. All right. And next slide. Already there. All right. Human HIV, anyway. How's that? fragile new hours, and it's fragile a few hours in dry environment. It attacks the human immune system. It's cause of AIDS. More than 1 million infected persons in the U.S., so less than have hepatitis C. And there's no cure, no vaccine yet available, although it is handled with antivirals, but that's a long-term process. They're definitely life-shortening. So, next slide. Did I skip a page? Okay. So on AIDS, or HIV infection, many have no symptoms or mild flu-like symptoms. Most infected with HIV eventually develop AIDS. The incubation period is 10 to 12 years. So it's an opportunistic infection and AIDS-related diseases. Tuberculosis, toxoplasmosis, Kaposi's sarcoma, oral thrush. Anyone say the last word? What is it? Yes. He's giving up his prize. There you go. Chief won that for you. There you go. All right. Next slide. All right. So HIV transmission is usually through sexual contact, sharing needles and or syringes from HIV-infected women to their babies during pregnancy or delivery, breastfeeding, needle sticks. So you'll notice what's come up in every one of these transmissions has been, yeah, but the last thing on every one of them has been a needle stick. And so we're all susceptible to that, and that's the big thing that has to be driven home here on that. Next slide. So, I didn't give out that prize. So, for further information, you can go to any of these websites. YouTube, if you just type in infectious disease on YouTube, you can watch for a couple of days. There's all kinds of programs put out by the CDC and all other kinds of health groups and everything like that. But if you suspect that you have a problem or anything like that, it's always best to take the precautions. Get someone to come in and clean up your desk or do it yourself with some gloves and some cleaner stuff. But it's never worth it to take the risk of, getting infected yourself.
If you do find needles on the property or somewhere, call us. We'll come snip the needle and dispose of it properly. I'm sure the transfer station has had training on how to deal with needles. You guys probably see a lot more than right now.
Yeah. I'm noticing in more and more public restrooms, you're seeing a sharps disposal unit mounted on the wall. I was at the airport a few weeks ago or something, and I went in there, and it was a huge container, maybe a gallon one, and it was half full, So people are conscious of it that are using needles, and there's a ton, diabetes is a huge problem in the Northeast, in the state of Maine especially. So you have a ton of people that are using needles for legitimate reasons. But there's a lot of people that are not using them for legitimate reasons and that are quite infected. Do we have a needle sharp container in this building, Ed?
No.
No. And stuff. It might be something we'd want to look into here. And, just put it up in the restrooms so that they could utilize them.
Not to be confidentiality, does anybody that works here are diabetic, that uses needles?
No, I don't use it.
Go to Trains in Augusta, there's needle, the shops, containers at all the bathrooms,
Yeah,
at the public safety building, so.
yeah.
Library.
Not to be gross, but infections are everywhere. I don't do it very often, went and got a pedicure and got nipped, and I got an infection from that. And it was a pain to get rid of, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah,
So, something I never thought of before,
yeah.
there you have it.
So I'm the health officer as well as everything else here. So I have gone on these calls. I haven't, I've been to the beauty shops and to check on that. Bed bugs are an issue that I deal with on a regular basis. Dog bites, you were dealing with those on a regular basis, right? Yeah, and stuff, and so there's quite a lot of paperwork that goes onto that. I've been bit recently, and so we had to fill out the paperwork and all that. I think that'll wrap it up. One more slide, and that just gives credit to everybody. Please, report anything that seems to be an incident to you, and we have plenty of, professional staff that can come down and help us out if need be. All right? Thanks, everybody.